I want to educate myself more from what I did in prison. I want to educate myself more about these issues in our society and how can I, as an African-American trans woman, attack these issues, and who's going to join me.
We turn today to a case that's turned a national spotlight on the violence and discrimination faced by transgender women of color in the United States. That's the case of CeCe McDonald.
An African-American woman is facing trial for murder after an incident outside a Minneapolis bar where she was reportedly harassed and then physically attacked. Krishan CeCe McDonald, who is 23 years old, is scheduled to stand trial later this month for second-degree murder. But supporters say McDonald was the victim on June 5th, 2011.
Transgender activist CeCe McDonald was released from prison in January after serving a 19-month sentence for second-degree manslaughter. Her real crime, however, was defending herself from a violent, transphobic, and racist attack.
CeCe was just walking down the street
when they were reportedly accosted with homophobic, transphobic, and racist slurs. CeCe was hit with a bar glass that cut open her face, requiring 11 stitches.
Passing a bar, a group of onlookers assaulted them,
yelling obscenities and smashing a glass in her face.
Fearful for her life, she defended it with the only thing that she could find in her bag:
a pair of fabric scissors. Fortunately, these scissors saved her life
when a man lunged at her and was stabbed.
Unfortunately, she was arrested for the man dying because of it.
Even more unfortunate, she's been accused of murder and faced with upwards of 80 years in prison.
The judge in her case rejected key evidence, including a swastika tattoo on Schmidt's chest and his 3 prior convictions of assault. Facing up to 80 years in prison, CeCe McDonald took a plea deal that sentenced her to 41 months behind bars.
So often our lives are treated as if they don't matter. And I think that's why CeCe's case has meant so much to me. I very easily could have been CeCe. Many times I've walked down the street of New York and I've experienced harassment. I was kicked once on the street. And very easily that could have escalated into a situation that CeCe faced.
June 5th, 2011, CeCe McDonald and a few of her friends decided to go out at night to pick up a few groceries, a mundane task that would later nearly cost CeCe her life. CeCe McDonald is an African-American trans woman and an LGBT activist. While she was walking with her friends, they passed a group of drunk white people at a bar who began to shout degrading things at CeCe and her friends, such as "Go back to Africa," and disrespectful comments about CeCe and her friends being gay and/or transgender. CeCe turned around and told them they weren't allowed to talk to her like that. CeCe ran away from home at a young age after her family didn't accept her for being trans and grew up in harsh conditions, always blaming herself for being mocked for her gender and sexuality, until she became an adult and began to realize that she shouldn't feel bad about herself, and instead she should call people out whenever they made fun of her for expressing herself. However, this time sticking up for herself was not helpful. In a matter of seconds, a fight broke out. Molly Flaherty, one of CeCe's attackers, announced that she could beat CeCe and all of her friends in a fight and proceeded to smash a beer bottle across CeCe's face, resulting in the need for 11 stitches.
She decided that, she was going to prove herself for whatever reason by throwing her drink in my face and then taking the cup that the drink was in and smashing it in my face.
Her second attacker, Dean Schmitz, stepped up next. While his friends fought CeCe's friends, Schmitz was throwing full beer bottles at CeCe's head. And even after she and her friends escaped the fight, he followed her. CeCe's friends warned her that Schmitz was behind them, so she stopped and turned around. She reached into her bag and pulled out a pair of scissors that she happened to have left in her bag after design school that day. CeCe did not intend on using the scissors, but she felt like they would help keep Schmitz at a distance. However, it did not. Schmitz ran at CeCe, ready to attack, and was impaled by the scissors CeCe was holding out in front of her. Schmitz fell to the ground and the police came, and CeCe was ushered away from the body, at the time not knowing he was dead. When the police questioned CeCe, they did not ask about the huge gash on the side of her head, or any injuries her friends had. Instead, they asked where the weapon was. CeCe was brought to court and faced the possibility of 80 years in prison for first-degree manslaughter, even though it was self-defense. And if CeCe had not defended herself, she would be the one dead on the street. Eventually, CeCe took a plea deal for 41 months in prison, having to confess it was second-degree murder even though it was not. CeCe did not stand a chance in the courtroom. The judge denied certain essential pieces of evidence that could make it look like Schmitz was the bad guy. The fact that they found meth, cocaine, and alcohol in Schmitz's system was not allowed to be evidence, and neither was the swastika tattoo that covered a portion of Schmitz's chest.
This was not a fair choice and not a fair trial.
CeCe McDonald is being punished for daring to confront and survive
a hate crime.
And this is unacceptable.
Especially when people just like CeCe are being killed almost monthly.
One thing that really enraged CeCe's new supporters was the fact that she was not only sent to 41 months in prison, but she was suspended her sentence in an all-male facility. Claiming to be for her protection, the prison guards put CeCe in solitary confinement, which in many places is considered torture, so she would not be at risk of being attacked by other inmates. Released early for good behavior, CeCe only spent 19 months in jail, which many speculate is also due to the huge amount of press her case received and the outrage the verdict caused. Celebrities such as Laverne Cox and organizations like the Trans Youth Support Network, the National Center for Transgender Equality, and the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force all took interest in CeCe's case. Laverne Cox, an African-American trans woman herself, plays a transgender woman in prison in the Netflix series Orange is the New Black, and took on the interest of CeCe's case with a passion, making sure everyone knew her name, and is even helping CeCe make and produce a documentary titled Free CeCe. The injustices CeCe faced are far too many for someone who was terrified for their life. Transgendered people all across the world are victimized by transphobic attacks all the time, and CeCe's case is one of the first to get so much attention from the media. Horrible statistics show that 78% of kids ranging from kindergartners to seniors in high school who came out as transgender or non-conforming gender have faced some sort of harassment. 38% of them were physically assaulted, 12% were sexually assaulted, and 6% were expelled. And these are just the children who came out. Many adults face much worse in work environments and every day on the streets. According to Williams Institute's study, 45% of African American trans people have attempted suicide. The negative connotation the world has when it comes to transgender people desperately needs to stop, as each day more and more lives are taken by hate crimes or suicides. Although transgender awareness is becoming more mainstream, huge steps need to be taken in order to make sure the number of transgender assaults, murders, and suicides decrease, as in the past couple of years the numbers have skyrocketed.
CeCe's case, to me, encapsulates so many of the harsh injustices that trans women of color face in this country.
I'm trans, and all the people that I know who are trans that are really close to me, I always have this fear for them, because I would never want someone to get a phone call saying that I was dead, or me getting a phone call saying that one of my friends was dead, because someone just wanted to hurt them.